So as of lately, I've been feeling this feeling of imposter syndrome. And I know a lot of developers have this feeling throughout their career. For me, this comes with self-doubt and trying to figure out, when is it going to pass? I like to explain imposter syndrome as this feeling that you get when you feel that you are not enough for what is required. Most of the time this is applied to careers and your role in a company, and specifically that is how I feel. So this video is more of like a note to myself, as well as hopefully you guys can learn something. Imposter syndrome is a funny thing because one day you can feel great about your job and feel great about the knowledge that you have and the expertise that you have, and then literally the next day it can all be flipped on its head and you're questioning everything you do, everything you know. And what I've come to realize is imposter syndrome is typically caused by comparing yourself to others. Now, it doesn't always have to be derived from comparing yourself to others, but most of the time it does. For example, myself, I was struggling with imposter syndrome just today. I was comparing myself to a previous developer and the project that they built. I wanted to add a feature onto this project, this larger project that this previous developer had built, and I got into the code and I was trying to figure out what in the world was going on. And I spent a good hour just trying to break down the project and try to really understand how it was built and how it was functioning. And it came to me just like a brick wall, like, what am I doing? If I can't figure this out, how in the world am I expected to figure something else out? I feel that as a newer developer, it can be easy to just jump on the let's ask someone train, and rather than actually digging into something really deep, you get stuck for a second and say, you know what, I'm gonna go ask someone. It'll save me a lot of time. They're all about saving time. They won't mind. But in reality, you become a better developer the deeper you go and the more of a struggle that you push yourself through. And I really think that pushing yourself deeper and struggling through things is something that just goes hand in hand with imposter syndrome. As you are working on something that is a bit out of your reach, you start to have these self-degrading thoughts and you're questioning yourself like, hey, what am I doing here? This is obviously super hard for me and someone else was able to do it, so why can't I? And that's where this imposter syndrome starts to leak into your mindset. And the real issue with this is that it can kind of bring you down and drag you back from progress. In order to get to be a better developer, you really need to push through these struggles and push through the deep learnings that you find through the struggle. And on the other side, you are a better developer. In order to become a better developer, you really need to push yourself through this struggle of learning the technology deeper. And with that comes the imposter syndrome. And as you push through it, you will become a better developer and the imposter syndrome will start to go away. So throughout my dev journey, I've struggled with imposter syndrome a couple of times, and there seems to always be a couple of things that help me push through it. And to be honest, some of it can be boiled down to hyping yourself up. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. But what I like to do is I like to remind myself of all of my journey up until this point in my life and what I've done and gone through to get to where I am today. For me, that includes a multitude of projects that I've built. That includes switching from a career that had nothing to do with development into web development by means of teaching myself how to code in my free time. I've gone through the process of interviewing for a technical role and completing the technical interview and getting the job. That's something that has put myself in front of other developers and say, hey, judge me. And it turned out well for me. So in all reality, what I recommend you do if you're feeling this feeling of imposter syndrome is just to reframe your mind and remind yourself what you've done thus far to get to where you are right now. Something else that helps me feel a little bit better is this thought that everyone else is also struggling and also feels this. You're not alone. The only difference between this other guy and myself is that I can't hear that guy's thoughts. They've probably thought similar thoughts to you as, hey man, is anyone else feeling these? But the issue is no one wants to communicate these things because it's self-doubt and you don't want to spread that with others because you're concerned of how it might make you look. But in reality, everyone's going through it, and the best way to get out of it is to just push through it. So getting through imposter syndrome can be difficult, but just remember that you've gone through this journey thus far, putting in all of that effort and struggling through all of those struggles to get to where you are now. What says that you're not willing to go through these next struggles to get to where you will be in a year, to get to be where you will be in 5 years? You're going to progress slowly, but it takes time. It takes those deep learnings and struggles to form the developer that you're going to be.